I'm Phelena Jean, and this is Black Broads Abroad. I'm an international woman of leisure who said peace out to the United States in 2011, and I have not looked back, accepted this ass, honey. Since then, I've lived on 4 continents with travel to over 40 countries. Along my journey, I've come to know some very compelling Black women from all over the world who also said fuck you to their comfort zones. I created this podcast to inspire Black women in the diaspora to take risks and live their very best lives. Well, this week kind of started off really tough for obvious reasons, with Kobe Bryant and his daughter, Gianna, being killed in a helicopter accident. You know, it's like one of those moments in time where you know exactly where you were when Tupac passed away, when Biggie died, when Michael Jackson died, when Prince died. And I was in a club. I was in a club in Johannesburg, and my homeboy Michael sent me a text message, and it was a TMZ clip. You know, my high just immediately came down. I was sobered, and there was very minimal Wi-Fi in the club, so I was just, let me go home. Like, it was just a vibe kill anyway. And to be honest, it's not like I was the biggest Kobe fan in the world, but I understand what he represents for my city, LA. Like, I'm Laker Nation all day. So to lose like Nipsey and Kobe within a year, man, that shit hit. I became a fan of Kobe after his basketball career because I just saw the relationship that he had with his daughters, and I'm such a daddy's girl. It just reminded me of the bond that I share with my own father. But John Henrik Clarke once said about Malcolm and MLK, bury the man and continue to plan. And Nip and Kobe left behind a blueprint and a legacy of excellence. So it just reminded me that, you know, we all need to get to work on defining our own legacies of excellence. We grieve, but get back to the plan. Execute, then refine, then repeat. G chin up, 10 toes down. That's the mantra, always. I was out of it though the first couple days of the news because like Sunday night, it was Sunday night here when I found out. It was morning in the US, and I just took a fucking space cake and went to bed, and I did it the next morning too, and it rendered me like totally incapacitated for nearly 24 hours. I just wanted to freaking zone out, thinking that the high was not going to be as potent as an edible in California. Bullshit, son. I ain't no fucking better than to eat an entire edible in one sitting. When I say I was like zoned the fuck out, it took me 8 hours to watch a finger wave and MUA tutorial on YouTube that was otherwise 30 minutes. Never again. I am way too much of a Capricorn to be okay with that much unproductive time spent. But the highlight of my week for sure was that I got to interview Genet Keffetew, who is my Ethiopian auntie. I love her so much. She welcomed me to her beautiful villa in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in 2015. And she owns a guest house there after leaving her career in finance in the San Francisco Bay Area. She is just so lit. Like, I really enjoy intergenerational dialogue because she spills some grade A tea about leveling up as a Black woman and as Black people. So stick around for that interview. But first,
let me tell y'all motherfuckers what happened last week.
A 7.7 magnitude earthquake shook Jamaica on Tuesday. Aftershocks could be felt from Florida to Mexico. Luckily, no casualties or major damage has been reported. And this nigga is plumb fucking crazy news. Kanye West announced that he wants Danny McBride to play him in his biopic. I didn't know who the hell Danny McBride was. I'm not familiar with the white actors' faces or names, so I had to Google him. Child, this is a whole middle-aged, portly, moderately attractive, and that's being generous, old goofy-looking white man. Like, why? Why is Kanye this way? On Black Jesus and on Risha's, Kanye needs some real niggas and black aunties on his team post-haze, because the unmitigated bullshit he's on is really dangerous. Straight up, he's in the sunken place that is Kim Kardashian's pussy, and I just want him to get out. The petty nigga that is 50 Cent has professed that he will stop feuding in honor of Kobe Bryant. I don't believe that shit for a moment. 50 Cent is the pettiest nigga alive. Do you remember when he bought all the tickets on Groupon for a Ja Rule concert and sat dead in the front? That's high-level pettiness, honey. He posted a video of himself being rushed to the hospital after listening to a Fat Joe album. He challenged Floyd Mayweather to a Cat in the Hat reading contest on live TV to prove he could read, and literally everything he's ever done to Rick Ross. That's a whole power bottom queen, honey. But if he's saying that Kobe has inspired his new lease on life, I'm here for it. All those slow days will be far less funny without the comedic relief of 50's pettiness. In Agent Orange news, y'all's president has added 6 more mostly African nations to his travel ban list, including Nigeria, Eritrea, Sudan, Tanzania, Myanmar, and Kyrgyzstan. This is a move that will virtually block immigration from Nigeria to the United States. But when has a ban or the notion of illegality stopped a Nigerian from doing anything? Let's see how that goes. Anyway, all 6 of those countries have very large Muslim populations, in addition to the other 7 countries that are on the ban list. The ban will also prevent immigrants from Sudan and Tanzania from moving to the United States through the diversity visa lottery that grants 50,000 green cards per year. The proclamation will take effect on February 22nd. But if you apply to a visa before that day, you apparently will not be impacted. The coronavirus is continuing to spread. There are now more than 2,000 confirmed cases worldwide. 56 million people have been quarantined in China, and the U.S. State Department has issued a warning to U.S. citizens to not travel to China. The World Health Organization has also declared the coronavirus outbreak as a global health emergency. I was so close to moving to China like some months ago, and I'm glad God blocked that. I don't know. I wonder, is this like a distraction mechanism to induce a trade war? Who knows? Y'all be safe out there in these streets, though, with this virus spread. Thanks for tuning in, and that's it for...
Let me tell y'all motherfuckers what happened last week.
Until next time. Born into a large Ethiopian family, Genet grew up in the capital city of Addis Ababa during some of the best and most difficult times in her country. Her love of adventure sent her around the world and now has brought her home, where she is embarking upon her next journey. Leaving Addis Ababa during her school years, she earned a business degree and built years of experience in banking, insurance, and international. Settling in the San Francisco Bay Area, Genet also actively participated in the development of her community. Inspired by coastal California living, Genet found many opportunities to cultivate her creative calling. Over several decades, she honed culinary skills, developed her design aesthetic, and shaped a multicultural style of hospitality. Upon returning home, Genet's professional life in Ethiopia involved building cross-cultural global teams. She develops and deploys training strategies that help people bridge cultural gaps, value diversity, and improve cross-cultural communication. Human resource expertise and her belief in the power of teamwork ensures that Genet's clients find solutions that maximize their human capital. Keffetew Guest House in Addis Ababa embodies Genet's achievements, interests, and aspirations. Always looking ahead, Genet gleans her inspiration from young people. Working with organizations in Northern California, Genet helps connect young Americans and Ethiopians with goals of building healthy cross-cultural alliances in education, health, sports, and art. Welcome, Genet.
Thank you. That is so sweet, kind.
Thank
you.
I'm so excited to be interviewing you. I want to give just a little bit of backstory because you have such a compelling background, and this is one of the things that drew me to you. So in 2015, when I was living in Qatar, I took advantage of traveling to a lot of East African countries because it's only about a 3.5 or 4 hour plane ride. And being Jamaican ancestry and Maroon ancestry, Ethiopia has always had a special place in my heart. So we love Selassie. Not only that, it's the cradle of civilization. So thank you again. Thank you so much. So I mentioned in the introduction
thank you.
that you were born in Addis Ababa during a tumultuous and exciting time in recent history. And you went on to be educated and start your professional career in business and finance in San Francisco. Can you elaborate a bit more about your background and how that has informed your most recent venture into bringing multicultural hospitality to Ethiopia?
Thank you. At the age of 60, well, I grew up in Ethiopia when at the King Haile Selassie's time. I went to the girls' Catholic school, and it was Addis was a 400,000 population then. Today it's 6 million or over 6 million. So it was a very soft, breathing, and a lovely new. It was a new horizon for our parents, but for the children, it was also an opening to the West culture. And we had Peace Corps, Americans who brought their culture and introduced us. We had America was very participant in exchanging culture and industry and technology then, and it created an interest to study in America, not nowhere else, but America was my. I thought America was freedom. You can be what you want. So, living Ethiopia, I went to Berkeley at a very young age and lived in Berkeley. I did my senior high in Berkeley and went to Ohio to do my undergraduate. And I did my undergraduate. From there, upon graduation, it was not possible for me to return back to Ethiopia. So I moved to Bay Area and I worked for a very big wine manufacturing company and headquartered in San Francisco, and the human resources center on benefit and benefit coordination and also management. From there, because I was not able to return home, and I also didn't want to be in the corporate world or establish there. I went to international business and I started traveling the world. I traveled in many countries, searching for myself, and in Bay Area, I lived in Berkeley, San Francisco, and at the end, over 10 years, I lived in Marine, north of San Francisco. And it was the most beautiful area in the world, I believe. And there, I always wanted to create a relationship between Ethiopia and my community in America. And I even at one point, I even started a company that on global diversity, especially after the war in Iraq. That kind of got me started to come out of that us and them and to create a work that will help people to think we are all one family. So I had a global networking company, it's not a company. I worked in getting youth to travel to Africa to exchange culture, especially African Americans. Yeah. African Americans were disconnected from Africa. So they really don't have, they're not really, they say African American, but they really have no connection with Africa. And I wanted to break that gap and bring, people together. So initially, the idea of building this house was to really have a housing for the youth to come and have a place to stay and do some internship, teaching, whatever, but spend at least 3 to 6 months in Ethiopia. I even considered doing one in Ethiopia, and Accra, and Cape Town. I was going to have them have an understanding of the different part of Africa and the different culture. So with that intention is when I pushed this place to be built, so it can be a headquarter or a stop by or a thing for connecting the West with Ethiopia. That's where I am now.
There's this theory of brain drain on the continent wherein like the most talented young Africans go off to America or the West for schooling and opportunities, and then some that don't return home. So the theory is that it strips the continent of its greatest resources and people. So what compelled you to go back home to Ethiopia and work on what you're doing there now?
That's really the number one, call it problem, the number one reason that African countries cannot prosper or cannot move fast with developing their people there in is the immigration policy of the West. The immigration policy of the United States. They give diversity visa for the educated ones, for the business, people who have business, who have money. So what it created, you're not really pursuing prosperity in your country to develop your country. When I grew up, our parents have that kind of idea. We were the first one to even leave the country, but they're always their country. It's building their country. Now, politicians are looting the country to run with their family to Washington or to, Los Angeles, whatever. Not thinking about building their country. They are thinking how they can get to America. So that created for the locals, the one that can teach and help and build the youth is already gone. So the youth also wanted to go there. So there is no national value to live in your country and to build your country or your people, to be around your people. It's always to go. If they can't afford, if they don't have money, they'll go through, the one you see, immigrants on a boat, paying so much money, getting out of here. So it starts with immigration policy of the West. They encourage this. They take, they encourage it. If you can come to America with $400,000 instantly, you don't have to do anything but get your residence or your citizenship. Okay.
What was the thing that compelled you to actually come back home after having such a successful career in California?
I was always involved in doing something for Ethiopia or Africa from there. And I felt like I cannot do this on a remote control. I have to be there. I don't know how I was going to be there. But in that moment, my father's health was coming to the last year. So I decided to come and take care of him and live with him for a year. For his last months or year. And in the meantime, he had this land that they took his land in exchange. They gave him, this is the one you saw, space. So, and he always asked me to come and build my house. And I always said, not now. Then I came to take care of him and I ended up building this house.
And
1 year.
You call it a house, but your home is like a villa. It is out. You're being modest. It's absolutely breathtaking. When I was like researching places to come, when I was, because I came during my spring break while I was teaching in Qatar, and
Yes.
I was just Googling places to stay, and then I found your guest house, and it was just something about your energy. It was palpable, even on the World Wide Web. I was like, I have to go stay and meet this lady. I just knew I had to after I read your bio. And I mean, your home, like, what was the inspiration or the influence behind your design aesthetic? Because it's a beautiful home.
I always, as from childhood, I was always interested in arts. But living in Northern California, and where I live is north of San Francisco, it's very artistic people and spiritual people and people who are, or hippies.
Hippies, yes.
Very creative people. Very creativity is in the air where I lived. It's just, you are encouraged to be creative.
Yeah,
I
Berkeley is
also
certainly known for that.
traveled intensively to India, to Japan, where I picked much of the culture I liked about it, with food, with design, with daily activities. So and my life was just really, when I lived in the West, I was really in building myself in every area, spiritually and health-wise and artistically. It was I was given the opportunity to be exposed to so many things, and I have to be able to apply it here. And I also know that what you do is going to be copied around. So be careful what you do, because people would like, because here people have not exposed to what I was exposed. What I'm exposed. So I wanted to create something where I bring myself and my culture here, like I lived there, and design and have locals make furnitures. Everything was created here. The only thing is I designed it because of my exposure to the best of best.
It's so thoughtfully curated. Your home is so thoughtfully curated. One of the things, I was really drawn to Ethiopia for so many reasons, and mainly because it is the only African country that has not been colonized. What do you credit for that amazing feat?
And also a cradle of life. If you go deeper, when I traveled to Japan and to India, Buddhism didn't start in Japan or China or India. It started in South India by immigrants from Ethiopia.
Wow.
Okay. And I found that connection. And in Japan, when I went to Japan, I kept saying, I've been here before. But it's the culture they have taken. And I end up meeting Misho Kushi, who is the Kushi Institute, the god of macrobiotic. And he said it took you 6,000 years to come and see me. But what he said is the Kushite dynasty left Ethiopia through Pakistan and end up in Japan. His name Kushi, their last name is Japanese have last name is of their tribe. His name Kushi he is from that dynasty of the Kushite, who are Ethiopians. Okay, so Ethiopians have traveled the world and created their culture. If we were white, we would have had the value to really take little things and make it big. We have a big thing and we don't even make little. So, and that is because most of us live outside of Ethiopia, and very few return home. Very few people will return home. Most people will establish, they will have families, and they will have business and everything. So they cannot afford to return back.
But what do you actually credit for Ethiopia never having been colonized, being the only African nation? What about the spirit of Ethiopians was able to, mitigate attacks from colonizers?
Yes, and there is it's when you are the first, you are the great grandmother. Nobody can afford to come and conquer you.
I like
People
that.
have this 2,000-3,000 years of history that they can, really run it to you is like it was yesterday. So people take pride and they will die for their, the Italians came with, big machine guns and bombs, and Ethiopians went, with shields and swords and shields and defeated. They were just like surprised. Who are these people? And the little gain the Italians had for 5 years was because few Ethiopians were bought. But that didn't stop. And to this date, Ethiopians are celebrating the day that Menelik and the Ethiopian people kicked the Italians. So it's like it's in your blood. And also with Ethiopians, like they don't feel inferior to anybody. They feel superior to everything.
I love that.
Yeah, they do. It's just like it doesn't matter how much they have. Every Ethiopian feel like they are the best. Ethiopia is the best. Our weather is the best. Our culture, our injera is the best. It's like that. That's the attitude of people. And people are, because of the spirituality, because of the Christianity, the old, we have our own calendar. We have our own months. We have 13 months instead of 12. And our days start at 7 o'clock, not at 1 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
And our new year is in September 11 or 12 sometimes, when the rain season is over and the hills are covered with yellow wildflowers. It really feels like a new year. And we are 7 years younger than the West calendar. And you feel 7 years younger here.
Well, Ethiopia is not only like the literal cradle of civilization, being that the first human remains were found there, but it's also the site of the biblical kingdom of Sheba. And it's believed by some to house the Ark of the Covenant. Other religions can trace their origins to Ethiopia. Christians and some of the original Coptic churches, ancient Islamic mosques are there. The original followers of Muhammad derived from Ethiopia. Let's not forget the original Jews, the Philashas. Why do you think that Ethiopia is not widely lauded as a place for spiritual pilgrimage? And what can be done to change that?
I think it's growing to that. I see the Orthodox Church, is really, you cannot differentiate if it's a national or if it's a religion holiday. Most of the holidays are religion. It's Orthodox. It's like the founding of the cross. It's the Epiphany. It's the Christmas. They are elaborating it, and it's looking very wonderful. And it's inviting many friends, many tourists to really see. And the site of Lalibela is, it should be, in a way, really, it's better that it's not too touristy, in a way.
Yes,
I think because too touristy, when you see where too much tourist, it loses its culture. It becomes, very, and so in a way there is a positive side for it to be hidden. That the spirit can stay calm, can still be like the old time. It's not, it still exists. But if it is too much Western, too much, really, it will lose. People would would lose their values. And with the culture, yes, with the culture comes, the things that are not really healthy for the growth of the community. But there's also that kind of tourism, whereas it is cultural tourism, where people come and live with the people. It's not they come and take pictures of the people. They live with the people and experience the life that is completely different than what they are. So what it is like what you get here is quality, and what you get in the West is standard of life. The standard of life is not here, but the quality of life.
Amen.
So,
I'm glad that you mentioned actually about taking pictures. I'm sorry to cut you off because
no problem.
Because as an American, I try to evangelize to American tourists, because there is a distinct difference between tourists and travelers. Just try to be a less terrible American by like taking your camera out and taking pictures of people without their permission.
And people are becoming, locals are becoming aware of that, and they don't like it. And tour guides are also instruct the tourists to be modest with their cameras.
Well, I had the chance to visit Shashamani while I was there, and you facilitated my whole pilgrimage there, and I had a wonderful road trip. So for many Jamaicans, Caribbeans, and Rastas, Shashamani has a very special significance to our culture because of our love for King Haile Selassie. Can you explain a bit about what Selassie's intentions were in creating this land that he designed for Blacks to repatriate?
In the 60s, when Haile Selassie went to Jamaica, he was received, as you may know, where the airport collapsed. People were just like, this was the Messiah that was, they really believed. So Haile Selassie decided to migrate about 1,200 family to come and live, and he gave them Shashamane. And Shashamane is the most green and lavish for farming. So his expectation was that they can come and farm, and they can really build that area to theirs. It somehow is, but not as much as you would want it to see. And because of that area is Shashamane. When you say Shashamane, you're saying Jamaica. It's like when many people from Jamaica comes, they don't even overnight in Addis. Sometimes they would just drive to Shashamane. And I have many guests who came in, stayed a day or two and go to Shashamane. So Shashamane has, and I had a historian who wants to write about Shashamane. We went and met with the first arrivals or their children or their grandchildren. And it's, and the culture, you feel it. It's like, and the people there also travel back and forth to Jamaica. So it keeps that flow of Jamaica and Ethiopia by Shashamane is playing that role, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it was quite a beautiful experience. What are some of the other like must-sees and to-dos for travelers that want to visit Ethiopia? What are some places you would recommend?
Of course, Lalibela. Lalibela is the spring of the spirituality or Orthodox. It's a very intense. It's like you go back to 2,000 years when you can feel the energy of the place and the spirituality. It's alive. It's still alive. And there is, there is some main mountain, Gondar, where you can hike and see the wilderness and the mountain. There is Bali Mountain, the same, very green, very nice. Harar is the gate to the outside world. Harar was where my family, my mother's side. I was born in Diredoa in Harar, the state of Harar then, and where the best coffee is from Harar. My family were coffee growers. Haile Selassie's father was the governor of Harar.
What do you mean that it's the key to the outside world?
The travel, because of the Red Sea and the Middle East, it was like Djibouti. It was the Eden then.
Wow.
Eden. So we went from Addis to Diredoa. So from there, Haile Selassie's father was the first one who went to America as a diplomat of Ethiopia, governor of Harar. And Eden, which is, what is it now? Eden is now Yemen area, was the top. It was like the Paris of that area. So it was it was like my mother's family, my father used to, their punishment would be they will be sent to Eden for travel, and nobody wanted to travel, but when they were really connected to outside world, it was like that's where everything flows from the west to Ethiopia. Diredoa was like really the Paris of Addis then. And now it still have the old town and the culture where you can experience, and it's still there. The coffee is still there, even though there is more of the chat than the coffee now. I think those are now you also, Eritrea is open, so Asmara is also a place that you can.
That's wonderful.
visit.
So now when I was so excited about that. It was like 2018. That's wonderful.
Yes. And the train is from Addis to Djibouti have started. You can take the train to Djibouti.
Wow.
There is a lot to do. There is a lot to do now. From here you can connect to many places. And thanks to our new Prime Minister, he is bringing peace around our neighbors. So it's very nice to travel to all the neighboring countries peacefully, easily. So it's a good time. It has its own agony, but overall it's nice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my stay, and I'm living
Please
on the
come
continent
again.
now. I was closer when I was living in Qatar, but certainly I could fly from Johannesburg there. I would love to come back. So I have
Johannesburg is also very close. It's 5 hours flight. So please come and see the new energy of the city and the house. And we are building now. I am in the process of building Ayurveda or Ayurvedic treatment. Yes, since last year for Ayurvedic treatment, and I was healed. So I'm bringing therapists to train the locals here. It takes two people to work on one person. So we're going to do one Indian and one Ethiopian to transfer those wisdom of the Ayurvedic Indian old 1,000 years of method they use, especially for neurology, for nerves and stuff. So we're in the process of building the terrace. You remember the rooftop terrace?
Yes.
Yeah, we're converting it to Ayurvedic spa. So we're under construction now.
Oh, I've got to come back. I really look forward to that.
You have to. You have to come. So I will invite you for the grand opening when we finish. And I would love for you to come.
I will be
Yes.
there. I will be there. So,
Okay.
okay, I have like a
Thank
woman to
you.
woman question for you. I have a woman to woman question for you. Because when
Okay.
I came, it was just like, I just felt like I was like sitting at the feet of my auntie that was giving me premium grade A game. Okay. So one of the things like
No.
you left your home country quite young, and you were a very young and sexy, sophisticated woman, still are, gallivanting around the world. And one of the stories that you relayed to me that I will never forget is I think you were in your 20s and you were dating a Saudi magnate. And, you know, he would treat you. I never forgot this. I never forgot this.
He taught me.
I
Yeah.
put it in my toolkit. You told me that he would ask you, you know, what would you like? Would you like jewelry? You know, would you like cars? And you said, no, I would like an import-export business. And that stuck with me. I will never forget that. Ever. So my question is, what advice do you have to Black women about valuing our skill set and leveraging it to our advantage? And like, what are some of the benefits of dating outside of our like typical comfort zone?
You know what? That's the comfort zone is what is the number one disease in human, the comfort zone. Sometimes you have to put yourself, fear. It's all about fear. Fear. So my advice is fear nothing but fear itself. There's nothing out there that you should. If you fear, face it. Face it. And you would see it's nothing. And then you'll go to them. In facing your fear, you'll be blessed with a new experience, with a new knowledge, with a new understanding of yourself and this world. Fear keeps us away from, and sometimes our community will always remind us about fear. But to go beyond fear, to even invite fear and face it. What helped me is since I left early in my life, all I did in my life is to face fear because I left my country, my family, and it should be very fearful. Now, every fear I have to face it. Not consciously that I was aware to say it like I'm doing now, but naturally I was eager to face my fear. I didn't allow anything to stop me from anything. Even if I'm afraid, I'll go for it and pay my consequence and learn from it and come out. No experience in life should be without pain. Pain is good. Pain is where we learn how the other side. Without pain, it takes pain for us to step out of our comfort zone. But if we're afraid of pain, life will be dull. We should invite pain in our physical, in our emotional, and in our spiritual experience. We should invite pain in that. We should allow. To be afraid of pain, we allow ourselves to be afraid of venturing to the next. Because we have so many opportunities, blessing around us, and we're not able to see it because we are afraid to see it. So fear, nothing but fear itself is a good mantra to meditate on, because that's the only thing that human beings can be limited from reaching to whatever they want. and fair place in politics, fair place in family, fair place in our friends. They all wanted to remind us we should be afraid of this, afraid of that. So to be aware of that and to explore life freely and face fear, not fear it.
Thank you. That's such a great way to close out the show with sage advice. Thank you. So, last question: What projects are you currently working on, and where can people keep up with you on social media?
Like I said, in the process of building this spa, Ayurvedic, that will be available for guests and local. Also, there is a couple of businesses that I'm working with investor and who has a company in Philippines that does build IT company, and he wants to do a couple in mobile banking and something like Uber. So we're working on that, and he is, he's a good man. He's bringing this to Ethiopia, and I'm enjoying that. He's doing the work. He's just and I'm supporting him, and he stays here, and I help him with the local. Exciting. I'll be traveling to India to have a treatment, and also to bring a therapist, Ayurvedic practitioners to Ayurvedic practice. We're going to start with 2, and I'm excited about that. So I'm going through construction phase now. And in a month or 2, we'll be able to finish the spa. So be ready.
So excited! I can't wait to come to the grand opening.
Yes,
I stay on ready, Miss Genet. I stay on ready.
You have to come.
I'm coming.
It's been a while. You have to come. You have to come. Many things have been inspired since then, so you have to come and check it out. We wanted to see you again.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you, and bye. Thank you.
All right.
Love you.
Love you
God
too.
bless you.
Bye.
Mwah.
Bye.
Look at demo. Look, oral sex demo. You see oral sex? Look, oral sex. Look. You oral sex. Use oral sex. Let that sperm of that man out. Out, you demo. Out. Let go.
Delivered me 2 Sundays back. Then a demon came with his penis and put it in my mouth.
Amen. Remember you in prayer. Anyone else have a word from the Lord, a testimony of God's goodness?
I have a message from the Lord on today. The message I wish to impart for this week's Sunday sermon is, you can't have no cake if you don't got no ice cream. And I was reminded of this profound axiom through the great intergenerational discussion had with today's guest, Genet Keffetew. You see, Genet, the Ethiopian baddie that she was in her prime and remains until today, was the object of many men's adoration. But never the one to have the game fucked up. She decided on a Saudi magnate as her suitor. And with any good courtship, the man that shall remain nameless lavished her with the request of her whim. Would you like jewelry? Would you like fancy car? He would ask. But Genet, ever the clever, erudite, and forward-thinking young woman, aptly replied, I would like an import-export business. And so it was hers. You see, you millennial-era Tinder bitches have fucked up the game. Yes, I said it, and I shall not apologize. And maybe I'm an old bitch, albeit trapped in the body of a stout, buxom vixen, but an old bitch no less. Therefore, you can never, ever swipe right to get some pussy from me. And that's on Black Jesus. Now, ordinarily the game is to be sold and not told, but Lord have mercy, I'm feeling philanthropic. Let me preface this by saying, I'm not subbing nobody. I'm a straight shooter. If it don't pertain to you, great, be blessed. And if it does pertain to you, receive it with love. Don't send me no mad emails, because we all know hit dogs holler. This is a message especially for the 35 and up crowd, the auntie crew. Because I'm seeing so many old bitches out here, like, still mismanaging they pussy. And it's like, it's a travesty. It's a travesty before God. So, rule number 1, if you out here fucking and struggling at the same damn time while professing that you have a man, you are single, my love. My pussy don't even get wet if I don't have no money. I'm going to tell you like a OG told me, thou shalt not have wet panties and dry palms. And that's that on that. And number 2, this is especially for Black women, travelers, and nomads. I mean, know this, as you well understand. Your American or otherwise Western passport is valuable. Don't be out here in these streets getting swindled by third world, or shall I say, emerging nation fuckboys. It's never a good look to be the chick out here funding mail order grooms. You deserve better, beloved. And finally, number 3, please quit volunteering your coochie out here. It's really pathetic. And what these men are saying behind y'all's back is frankly very sad. Honor your coochie. They get scarce sometimes. Scarcity of commodities creates demand. Catch that too. And that's enough free game for today. Submitted with love. God bless. Episode 4 was brought to you by Loza Tam Hair Accessories. Loza Tam provides Afrocentric hair accessories for women on the go. I've purchased bonnets from them, as well as turbans that I could freak with a business suit or even jeans. And when I wear my bonnet to sleep every night, it does not fall off. Seriously, Loza Tam has been a lifesaver. Check them out at www.lozatam.com or on Instagram with the same name at LOZATAM.